Ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll start now. I think some people will join us as the proceedings go on. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Finland to Kenya, Your Excellency, the Deputy Ambassador of Sweden to Finland, Sweden to Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to share with JESSI, the Global E-Schools and Communities Initiative. This is, I think, one of the most important events for us in a history of about 6 years now. The JESSI, or the Global E-Schools, was launched first at the World Summit on the Information Society in Geneva in 2003. We went operational in 2005, starting at the World Summit in Tunis. And as many of you know, IGF actually came out of that entire process, the UN ICT Task Force and the World Summit. So it gives me pleasure today at this IGF meeting to announce that JESSI is moving to Kenya as an international organization and will be headquartered here. And this is the purpose of this event today. So it's for us to celebrate the establishment of JESSI in Kenya, which is now going to be our headquarters after being granted international organization status by the government of Kenya. And I would like to also take this opportunity to thank very much the government of Kenya for granting us these privileges. At this juncture, I would like to invite a few people to speak. I will start with Mr. Brendan Tuhi, who is right here on my left. Mr. Tuhi is the chairman of the board of directors of JESSI. He has a long, distinguished career with the Irish Civil Service, where he retired 4 years ago as at the equivalent rank of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Communications. Mr. Tuhi is also one of the really people who pushed the whole idea for having an organization that would work on ICTs in education, which led to the establishment of JESSI. So welcome, Mr. Tuhi.
Thanks very much, Alex. I had a minister once, and I learned an awful lot from her. We were out one night at a dinner, and by about 10 o'clock we still hadn't sat down for the dinner. So she was called on to speak, and she got up and said, "I'm starving, probably like the rest of you." And she sat down and she managed to get a standing ovation for that speech. So I won't keep it that short. But a number of people ask regularly, how did this thing originate? Where did it come out of? And I'm sure, like many of you in the room here, I've spent many sessions in different places around the world at conferences that seem to go on. And many of the speeches that are given are written 3 months in advance by dutiful civil servants who have no idea what happens on the day. So, like the UN Kofi Annan set up the UN ICT Task Force for Development around the time of the Millennium Development Goals, and that was a key input into the World Summit on Information Society in 2003 and the follow-on in 2005. And in the preparatory meetings for the World Summit, the task force, I was a member of that, and we were listening to speech after speech by Minister and Prime Minister that nobody else was listening to, obviously, because these were all prepared speeches. But the one theme that came through in every speech was the important role that technology can play in education. I'm never convinced that everybody who spoke believed in it, but that was what was in the speeches. And a few of us, and particularly I think Astrid Dufberg, who unfortunately can't be here today because some of you will be aware Astrid is suffering from a serious illness, and she sends her best regards. Astrid was the ICT ambassador from Sweden, and a few others, and myself, and we just felt that after this summit, let's not just have a whole series of papers. Can we do anything that has a permanence, that actually has an impact? And I think that's probably the wish of most people that come to conferences and summits in particular. So we did an analysis, and we got buy-in from the UN and from the UN ICT Task Force in particular to set up an organisation around ICT for education. and communities. It wasn't just about education, because we saw the evolving role of education. So that was the formation of GESI. Then it became the Global E-Schools and Communities Initiative, and we were very fortunate that the governments of Finland, represented today by Her Excellency the Ambassador, and very welcome, and Sweden by the Deputy Ambassador here, again very welcome, and then the Irish government, together with the Swiss government as well, said, okay, we will sponsor and support this. And since then it has done obviously various things which I'm sure some of you will be familiar with. But the real issue, I think, is the decision to move the location, initially set up in Ireland, simply because well, basically there was an office that I was able to make available to people and keep the cost down. So the proposal then was to move it here, and that was always on the agenda. And coming out of that, to seek and to successfully get international status. So as Alex has said, that was awarded recently by the government of Kenya, and we're very grateful for that to the government, and we think it's an important, both symbolic and important message as well, that the role that technology can play in education, and that there is now an institution or an organisation of international status that can deal with that. So thank you all for coming. And we would love to work with, and I'm sure you'll talk to various colleagues here, and hopefully work with the organisation here in the future. It's very much an open organisation, probably open source in that sense, very open. There's no monopoly on wisdom, and we're delighted to work with people who we think share the same aspirations as ourselves. We think there's a huge challenge, not just in education in that sense, but that the role that technology can play across organisations, across the various challenges, whether it's health or education, environmental issues, it all goes back to education. So in that sense, we see a huge evolving role for this, and we see this done in collaboration and cooperation with the various organisations. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for coming here, and I hope this conference produces equally some lasting remnants or remainders at the end of this, so that we can go away in 5 years' time or 10 years' time. Something will have come out of this IGF. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brendan. I would now like to call upon Her Excellency the Ambassador of Finland to address us.
Thank you. Sorry, I haven't really prepared a speech, so very spontaneously I'm really glad to be here, and I would really like to congratulate GESI and all the committed personalities that have worked for GESI, set up this important program, and that you have come now so far that it's established international organization. As GESI stands exactly for that, what Finland also stands for, the combined information technology and education. And I think the interesting thing is also to have different actors come together, both from the public service, public authorities, to the civil society. There is really different actors. And also then the chance that it gives to so many people to learn more and to build capacity, both like young people up to CEOs. So really with these words, congratulations for your work, and I wish you all the best in your future work. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I would now like to call upon Mr. Bjorn, the Deputy Head of Mission of the Swedish Embassy to Kenya.
Thank you very much. The world is changing, and information and communication technology has a crucial role in this change. And Sweden attaches great importance to information and communication technology for global development. It can protect human rights, it can deepen democracy, it can enhance education, it can expand businesses at corporate level or at the level of smallhold farmers. The list could be much longer. There is so much potential in information and communication technology for creating development. Sweden strives for integrating information and communication technology as an opportunity in all policy fields, and that's also why the Swedish International Development Agency, SIDA, has a strong interest in ICT and in GESI. On the Swedish side, we welcome JESSI's good progress during these years, and I would like to thank our colleague here for recognizing the role of Astrid Duborg of Sweden in that regard. It is, we find, positive that JESSI is now in Nairobi, in Africa, closer to its partners in the field and activities in the field. And I would also like to say that we find it very good that JESSI has established good cooperation with Finland, Ireland and Switzerland, in addition to Sweden. And I would like to encourage our colleagues here from JESSI to continue those efforts to broaden the cooperation, the partnership. And Sweden, as one of those partners, is looking forward to other development partners understanding the potential that JESSI offers and use those for achieving the common objectives. Finally, I would like to thank Kenya for hosting JESSI, making this possible. And with those words, a lot of good luck to JESSI in its new here at its new headquarters in Nairobi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bion. And I think from JESSI's side, we would really like to reiterate our sincere appreciation for the support that Finland and Sweden gives us, and some of the other development partners like Switzerland and Ireland. I deliberately didn't introduce myself because I wanted to introduce myself at this juncture. My name is Alex Twino Mugisha. I am the General Manager for Business Development and Operations at JESSI, and currently the acting CEO of JESSI. I bridge the gap between Mr. Pulkkinen on my extreme left, who is just a couple of months ago, actually to the day, left Nairobi and left JESSI as the CEO of JESSI, and is now wearing another hat as the Finnish Senior Advisor on ICTs and Information Society in the Ministry of Finland. And to my right, the incoming CEO, Mr. Jerome Morrissey, who has got a long, distinguished career in the education and ICT field. And I'll ask them both to say something about themselves. But first, I start with Mr. Pulkkinen. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex. Your Excellencies, high officials, invited guests, it's really honor for me to speak in this event now, because I can see that some of the work that we have been doing last 3 years is now carrying the fruit to our hands. I don't want to take us too long in the history. Brendan already had a good introduction where JESSI was having its birth, in this process. I just want to address that many of those good ideas during the World Summit for Information in Geneva and Tunis phase, those initiatives that were set up over there, most of them have died. Because usually in a lot of political interest and a little bit money, bunch of money, you have an initiative and then you do some work. And when the money is ending, then the initiative dies. And that has happened for most of the political initiatives. But JESSI is still here. And then you can see that we are moving to another phase, from initiative to institution. And that, I think that's quite important. When I joined JESSI 3 years ago as a CEO, we were kind of in a junction where we had to decide who the heck we are and what we want to do in the next few years here in the world. And then we looked the agenda that was given to us during the World Summit, and then we looked also the organization, who the heck we are. And in both ways we have to look, renew the whole kind of the strategy for JESSI, the broadened kind of the concept from ICT in education to the knowledge society, look the whole education, the role of education, building the knowledge society, and then ICT's role in education against that vision. And we have to look also the organizational factors. JESI was hosted by the Irish government for many years, but Irish legislation is not really built for international organizations, and there are some restrictions for organizations to grow as a full-fledged international organization. So the business platform was a little bit exactly not that what the mandate from the UN ICT task force for giving for JESI, and we had to explain every time. Even in Finland, the first question when we started to fund JESI was, why we are funding Irish company? Because that's when you look the papers, that you are international organization. So I think that from business point of view, you have to be what you are saying, and we are really grateful for the government of Kenya, who supported our proposal that JESI will register ourselves, renew our registration in a way that we grow as a full-fledged international, recognized international organization, and we are registered at the same legislation where the embassies and the diplomatic offices and UN institutions are registered here in Kenya. So now I think in business-wise we can say that JESI is now entering in the new phase, institutional phase, where we are registered as we are supposed to be, and also our agenda, our strategy is addressing the more recent development of information and knowledge society. If you look our leaflet here, I think there are 3 key words that are really addressing now that what JESI is doing. Hopefully, and it's a challenge also for the new CEO to put that in programs. It's technology, innovation, and education. I think the innovation is something that has been lost in education debates and ICT debates in education. So we have to look the innovation aspect in education, and also in education planning. Education planning is not 5 years prospects. It must have some innovative activities between now and the 5 years from now. So I really wish good luck now as a previous kind of outgoing CEO, and I can see that JESI is now in good hands when we have Jerome from Ireland to take over the CEO post. And thank you, Alex, for looking after JESI for these 2 months in between this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jarkko. I think I was only building on the base that you created and keeping the seat warm for Jerome. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce and welcome Jerome Morrissey, who is the incoming CEO. I still have about 48 hours. I may decide to give all the staff a raise.
Exactly.
But I think that we at JESI, we are really honored that we have somebody coming into the organization at this juncture when we are an international organization, somebody that really understands the business of education and technology and innovation and development. Somebody who's been heading the equivalent of JESI at the national level in Ireland, and who's got a lot of experience working within the European Union context and within the development context. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jerome Morrissey.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a few words. I'm conscious of all the speeches that have been made. I just regard it as an enormous challenge. I'm coming in at a great time. If I planned this several years ago, I don't think I could have had a better opportunity to come at this juncture, having with JESI having been established and put in place, and now with its official status based in Kenya. And of course, I'd like to thank the Kenyan government for their belief and confidence in us, and indeed we look forward to working closely with them on I'm sure a number of initiatives. I'm really at the record mode in terms of technology right now. I'm still I'm still a nobody really. I'm not the CEO until Monday, and I'm really on the record mode of life. I'm certainly not at the play mode, so I'm not going to say too much except to say that I really appreciate the honour and the challenge. And while Jorgi has said to me this is a wonderful opportunity for you. This is going to be a superb challenge here. He hasn't told me any downside whatsoever. So maybe I'm a little tiny bit suspicious. There's always something that's going to be a little bit more than a challenge. But having said that, I'm joking, of course. I think the opportunity and the willingness of all the players. I think the fact that the ambassador from Finland has graced us with her presence here this afternoon, and the deputy ambassador from Sweden is very, very important, because it's all about collaboration and the donor and the increasing capacity for donor collaboration in supporting our various partnerships. And indeed, if there was a theme, or if I dared even to mention a theme for my CEO-ship, as it were, it has to be about partnership and activity, and it has to be ultimately about creativity and innovation. I think that the juxtaposition of ICT and innovation is increasing in potential as technology itself develops as a tool. So it's a very exciting place in the entire world for the application of technology and new technologies, not just in the area of learning, but in the area of knowledge gain, knowledge acquisition, etc. So I suppose somebody once said that logic takes us from A to B, but imagination takes us to the entire world. And I like that. I like that as a motto. Knowledge is really confined to what we know and understand, which actually is quite limiting in one sense at any one particular point in time. But imagination opens up an entire universe of possibility. So, I'm always inspired with that notion. And now, I suppose, almost every month is a landmark on what technology can enable you to do in terms of applying creativity, imagination, and providing inspiration. So, and also the other feature that I think, if hopefully somebody will look back and say that the whole notion of intuition, that we must trust our intuition. Jesse is full of very highly professional people, and I think if you can marry imagination, creativity, inventiveness, and intuition, you can do wonderful things, and you can bypass the sort of dangers of kind of organizational ossification, which is always a danger, which I always dread. I think that there's a lot of work has been done already, and this morning we had a wonderful meeting with the African Union Council, and Moses is here at our launch. And I think these are the sort of activity-based, real partnerships which will make a difference, and apply the power of technology to learning, and learning in the broad sense. I'm not just talking about education and schooling. I think the notion of education as confined to the institution of the school building is a little bit old-fashioned. It's very important. It's what we all do. But it's learning in the broader context, the community context. So I would hope that Jesse will make a contribution internationally and particularly, obviously, in Kenya and in Africa, in that area. I'm really looking forward to the challenge. I want to thank you all for sharing this official launch with us here this afternoon. And of course, I'll hand you back to the existing acting CEO of Jesse, Alex.
Thank you very much, Jerome. As we said at the very beginning, that one of the things we are really grateful for is the opportunity that the Kenyan government has afforded us to headquarter ourselves here. And at this point, I would like to recognize and warmly welcome the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communications and ICT and Information, who is here with us today, and invite him to say a few words. And I'm sorry I'm ambushing you, but since you actually made it, I think it's only fitting that you say a few words. Yeah.
I want to apologize for coming late. I was chairing a session downstairs and it took long. I can see some faces who were there and left me behind. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Chelsea for considering Kenya as headquarters. Indeed, the government welcomes this opportunity because we are at the stage where the country has worked very tirelessly to create an enabling environment in IT in this country, in the sense that with respect to broadband, we've practically covered every corner of this country. And we are looking at now doing the last mile so that practically every school would have access. We have actually been thinking on how to deal with the issues of content. This is what we're grappling with. Yesterday we were here discussing about broadband and education. We have provided up to 4 STM64s to higher education, and we are now asking them, we need content out of this. It is not going only to be just education to schools, but we want to develop this country to become a knowledge economy. That, if you see what the actions taken from 2 months ago when Kenya opened its data to the public, you find that we are really getting seriously into a knowledge economy. For example, some of the data sets that you see in the open government are the mapping of the soils of the whole country. Now, the farmers would not just be going to grow what they want to grow. They would consult to find out what crop should I grow, where I am, in order to maximize my returns. That is knowledge, and that is how we want to make sure that Kenya, in the years to come, we don't have problems with food insecurity, because previously we have not monitored productivity, which areas gives you what crop in a more productive way. These are some of the issues we want the public to deal with. Open data. I know you think that we've put the data there. Nobody's doing. We are aggressively working with the universities to actually take the data, interpret it, work with the media and civil society, and the result is communicated to the people. We've already started doing that. For example, research is done here and the farmers are here. There has never been a way of communicating, and now you're beginning to see in some places where productivity was much low, especially in coffee or tea, we are getting high yielding crops replacing the low yielding ones. This is how we begin to change. So Jesse, I hope we have seen the bee, one of the result areas, and that is what made me agree to speak, that we will be working to strengthen the integration of skills, knowledge, not just to strengthen the capacities of ministries. We would work with you and the Ministry of Education to make sure that we take education to all corners of this country. Whatever you need, we would be there to help. Thank you and welcome to Kenya.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you very much. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. This is not the end of the session. We are now going to move downstairs, and I'll have my colleague here tell us exactly where to go, where we will continue the discussions and sharing over lunch.
We invite you all to come to the fountain room, which is in Cafe Royale. So if you go downstairs and turn left past the information desk, you'll see, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Cafe Royale if you've been here this week. There'll be a waiter standing outside, and we'll be in a private room, and there we'll have a few drinks and we'll have some lunch. So we welcome all of you to join us. Thank you.
Yes.